Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 123rd edition of the U.S. Open. This is my Before the Lock show, where I'm going to give you any updates that I have from pressers or things that I've been seeing or hearing. Also, we're going to go over ownership projections. We're going to talk weather. Maybe there's an AM/PM flight advantage for this event. We're going to talk about that and everything you need to know before you lock in those final DFS lineups or maybe some final bets. Well, all that said, first and foremost, thank you for stopping by, especially if this is the first time you're checking me out. I always appreciate it. And let's go talk a little golf. First, we do have a giveaway, and I do have the winners to announce. So I want to say congratulations to these folks who will be getting $100, yes, of my hard-earned cash. But honestly, it's sharing a little wealth. We've had some success here over the past few tournaments, and hey, perfect timing to get it over to you guys. So that said, the winners are Star-Lord's Dad, 1995, Daytime Dreamin', 8307, Jay Steele, 1020, and one of my favorite actual on-screen names, Who Picks Worst in Mayo, 1370, and last but not least, Caro Rico Ferrara, probably messed it up, I apologize, 2436. So again, thank you so much for all the entries and tell me who you thought. And as usual, the very kind comments that you guys give me. Again, it's what keeps me doing what we're doing. And good news is we are getting closer to those 2,000 subscribe base. So again, if you're checking me out for the first time, do me the honor of hitting that subscribe button. That'll get you, and hit that notification button. It'll get you all the shows as they come out, because typically I have a pretty good schedule, but they're not always exactly when I'm hoping to get them out. And also, it'll get you the ability to get in these giveaways in the future. And last but not least, of course, click that like button for the show. Okay, so some quick updates, some stuff I saw on the Golf Channel that, I don't know, was kind of interesting. Of course, you got some of the top three guys here with Scheffler. You've got Mr. Jon Rahm, and of course, Rory. And what they were showing is just best cumulative score in majors over the past 3 years. And it's quite a disparity, right? I mean, you got Rory at 23 under, which we know, typically Rory comes out of majors pretty slow out of the gate. Then you can expect, typically pretty good weekends. Of course, Jon Rahm, who won the Masters recently, also has the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines in the past at 32 under. And then Scottie Scheffler, again, also his one major at this point, of course, winning the Masters a year ago. But the guy is just, again, from a score perspective, pretty amazing. So I put this up there just purely if you're having decisions on these guys, on who you want to play from a DFS side. I mean, it's just one more point of reference to check out. And then on Scottie Scheffler, which, if you caught his presser or not, he was out working with actually a new putter. I guess what he was stating, it's a little larger face. And when I say that, it's probably minor, but enough that he probably, just gives a little more forgiveness in his putting. And so he's been working with that. I don't know if he's actually, he didn't state if he's going to put it into play or not. It might be just to scare that original putter to get back into shape. And again, as I mentioned yesterday, putting, if you play the game of golf, it's so much about confidence. Also, I guess his putting short game coach was dealing with some medical thing and hasn't been able to work with Scottie, but I guess they have been in communications and just told Scottie, hey, you're a little crunched up, you're a little too close to the ball. Maybe you need a little more space, to free up, maybe releasing the putter. You don't need to get into all the technical stuff, but sounds like maybe he's got some guidance. And we all know, again, if you putt that, you make a few of them, it feels like all you can do is keep making them. And when you're not making them, it feels like you're never going to make one. So that's why it is, as even Scottie stated, it is an art. It is, there's feel to it. There's confidence to it. It's quite a bit different than, the actual golf swing. And then the last thing, of course, one of the guys that I'm hoping that will do well here, one of my picks, Viktor Hovland. Just thought this was also interesting. It came from the Golf Channel, that they were kind of talking about his, splits and majors. If you look at here on the left, his first 11 starts, not so great. 0 top 10s, only a couple rounds during the majors that he, even had inside the top 10. And then his score overall to par over those first 11 majors he played in was plus 13. Now, if you flip that around and look at just his last 3 starts in the majors, which would be, of course, the PGA, we would have also the Masters, and then before that, the Open last year at St. Andrews. He's actually cumulatively shot 27 under. A lot of top 10s over the last 3, and best score to par in the last 3 majors played by 7 shots. So he's done very well, and we're all kind of waiting for him to break through to get that first major win. So, again, just some things I thought was interesting. The last one I have for you is, of course, Colin Morikawa, which, I don't have a problem. I didn't pick him, and a lot was on this, the back thing. And so he had a presser too, if you missed it. And what he was saying was he was in the gym that morning on Sunday. They were, working on the back, doing, I guess, certain, whatever exercises, and just a funny move or something like that kind of triggered that, back spasms, which of course he stated is, and we all did, especially if you played him, kind of worst case scenario, because he was 4 under. He felt like he had a really good game plan to work his way to get even, further into contention. But in his presser, he stated that all is fine, no issues in the body, no issues in the swing. That, and I bring it up because actually they were showing him at the range, hitting golf balls at the LACC. And when he would go to tee it up, he would kind of like, how you're supposed to pick up a heavy box, kind of like bend down using your legs and knees, not just bending over. And he even stated in the presser that, hey, you see me tee the ball, it's going to probably look a little goofy. But again, it's just precaution going forward. But I said everything sounds like he's good to go. I'm still a little nervous. Of course, it doesn't help when you've had back issues in the golf game. You can relate at some level what it is like to try to play. So, anyways, we'll see how that all works out. I just wanted to give you that update if you've not did not see Colin's presser yesterday. All right, and then we're gonna go into the weather thing. But what I just at a high level summary, what I'm seeing is a couple things, right? So we'll show it on Wind Finder here after I probably go into ownership projections, but it looks like the winds are going to pick up in the afternoon, which is very typical. But when you look at the Friday, which I'll show, it is not going to be almost like half of the wind speeds that they're estimating, right? It is weather and things change. The other thing that I'm kind of thinking about, and they've been talking quite a bit about this on the Golf Channel, is that the weekend the guys came in, it was just all lush and green, and the marine layer was keeping quite a bit of moisture in this course. Of course, they've stopped watering of any sort. I guess they've had for a bit, trying to get this thing dried out because haven't had a ton of sun because of that marine layer. And so where I'm going with it is I mean, it's not just because I've picked quite a few of these guys, but looking at the wind conditions, comparative afternoons for Thursday, Friday, and also knowing that this course tomorrow is probably going to be as forgiving or moist as it's going to be, as it's going to keep drying out as the weekend goes on with no weather predicted or shown. That I do like the guys in the AM if you are looking for some kind of flight advantage. And of course I just kind of highlighted the guys that I've already picked and that I'm on. But you can look, and of course this is on Pacific time, so local time, not Eastern where I'm at. But I wanted to show hey, Adam Scott's early. You got JR, Max Homa. Scotty Scheffler, I know I didn't pick him, but I told you that if I was picking out the top 3 guys, that's my guy I would go with. And of course I'll probably throw him in a couple lineups, depending on how I do in the Millie Maker. Siwoo Kim, you got Patrick Reed, Denny McCarthy, Xander, Victor Hovland, and Ryan Fox all have early tee time. So just wanted to call that out, and we'll jump into Wind Finder and show you what I'm doing there. Okay, let's go hop into Fantasy National. Let's go look at some ownership projections. We'll look at weather, and then get you out of here. Pretty quick show. Okay, I've hopped over to Fantasy National, and as always, it is my tool of choice to do my analytics, so check it out. And what we're looking at here, the big thing is, let's do this. I just pulled this up not long ago, but let me update it to make sure that we get the latest and greatest numbers. So you can see now we're over 12,000 entries have been created, and if you're confused what that means is, you do your analysis in here, you select your players, you can then pump it into Excel, which then goes right into Draftkings, and that's how you do 150 lineups or whatever it is. So this is a good number. That's typically we're happy with 5,000 entries. So we've got over 12,000 entries, and the actual number that I want to focus on is not the calculated ownership. I like more of this actual of what's been generated, not what guys have selected and whatnot. So with that said, also you'll notice if they have a star highlighted, those are guys that I've picked for my player pool for the Millie Maker specifically. And we can kind of just look at where the, who's the chalkiest. That means who's most owned, and who there's some, opportunities that we'll look at from a contrarian side. So no shocker right off the bat. It looks like, I can do this too. Yeah, so Scotty Scheffler, and I'll go back to, I like it this way to sorry, is the highest owned, which, no, that's 22%. Where that'll all shake out, it could end up around 25% when all is said and done. Then, of course, your second would be Rahm, and then Koepka, out of the top three are the highest owned. You got a little bit of break on Patrick Cantlay, who's one of my selections, as I mentioned, trying to kind of differentiate, and that's something that you need to do if you have a chance of winning the million. Right? There's going to be a lot of duped lineups if you kind of do the max fill up, take all the money, and pick the guys that are heaviest owned. The next guy I was on was Victor Hovland. He's coming in around 16%. Rory could be a change up for you. For one of the guys to be your top starters at 14% would definitely be a little contrarian. I got Xander also pretty chalky at almost 20%, another pick of mine. But Homa, which I'm a little shocked at this. I mean, I get it. There's areas of his game, as I mentioned in the pick show, that have caused me concerns. And so a lot of these folks that will do these mass generated lineups, right, they're just going off, as far as I'm concerned, they're using a lot of the stroke gain stuff. And if you go off pure stroke gain data, as I mentioned with Homa, you're going to have some areas that you're going to have concerns. I personally know his game, and if the driver is even a little better, I have no problems. I think he could do very well here. The putting, the short game is better. The irons have been great, and his long approach has been good. It's really that what's been setting him up bad is trying to hit the fade down the left side, as I mentioned, and it ends up actually double crossing him and hooking, or going left, or staying straight on the line he selected. So, and also I have a feeling that there could be definitely some holes these guys are going to be clubbing down, not hitting a driver. But, they are going to need a driver here. But also the good news is I talked about how wide these fairways are. I know they've been talking quite a bit about, there is quite a bit of pitch. And yeah, the ball, depending on how fast and firm it gets, is going to run out. But when you have that large of fairways, it also gives you confidence, right? They also took down quite a bit of trees at the country club to open it up a bit, which if you also play the game of golf, just having that visual that it's not super tight, I think also helps specific players like a Max Homa. Okay, moving on. We talked about Morikawa. He is less than 12% owned. So again, someone that you can make kind of a change. Jordan Spieth at 15. I'm not picking Morikawa, Spieth, or Fitzy. Fitzy's below 10. And then you got my buddy Cam Smith, who's at less than 12%. And really, my lineups to some degree are going to either live or die. I mean, I love the price tag at 9,000. I think it's a huge value. And we'll see how that works out. I mean, if he has a bad weekend, I'm going to have a bad weekend because, I don't know, quite a few of my lineups is going to have Cam Smith. I also like Terrell Hatton, but so does other people. It's at 16%. You got Fee now at 10. JT is a big option to change, also at 8,700, because he just really shown not the best form, even from a ball striking perspective, but really it's been the putter. But we all know, again, as I stated, anytime they find something, they start making some putts, and watch out. So there's a big area that you could make a contrarian play. And again, we're talking about the Millie Maker, right? That's how you're going to get moved up to the top. If somehow JT, you've got a ton of lineups with him, ends up top 5, you're going to have a nice, I mean, of course, it depends on the other 5 guys, but it's definitely going to be a help to get you to possibly win. I told you I was pretty interested in Hideki, and I guess other folks too, for that price tag of 8,600 are also very interested. All right, kind of moving through, you got Shane Lowry, who I'm not on, but is less than 10. People are a little nervous with what's been going on with Siwoo's approach game, so he is below 7. So again, another possibility for a contrarian play. You got DJ less than 10. Sammy Burns is probably the one that I noticed as I went through this is probably one of the biggest possible like contrarian plays. He's at 8,200, so it's not a huge amount. And if you look around different guys, like, would you rather have a Burns over a DJ or, a Jason Day? I think I would. I mean, he's, has won recently. The guy still has shown he's had, a couple good tournaments. The guy's an elite putter, can be an elite ball striker. His chipping around the green is probably his one weak area typically, but to be less than 4% owned, and we'll see how that all shakes out. But I mean, you can pretty much guarantee he'll be less than 5% owned. That's a game changer. So hypothetically, if you started with like a JT and a Burns and a Rory, that that is going to be a unique lineup and could do something. Jason Day, probably again, as I mentioned, a couple miscuts, also had some, we'll call it, we think injuries, but we know that at least it was stated that the vertigo has snuck back at times. Cameron Young's just been in a rough patch of shape, so he's less than 5, Days less than 8. Fleetwood coming off almost winning at the RBC Canadian Open and playing great golf. He's at 12%. Corey Connors less than 8. We got Tom Kim. I think everybody, like even me, I'm still not sure about that wrist. And also, I don't know if he works on tough courses yet, because everywhere he's had a ton of success has been on what I think are just high scoring tracks. So we'll see how that works out. You got JR, who's been in great form at a pretty good price tag. So he's up at 17%. All right, I'm not going to go through all these now. I'm just going to kind of move through. And if I see something that catches my eye, we'll talk about it. Let's see. We got Neiman, DeChambeau, and Bradley that I picked. Sahith, let's see. Also, 3 guys also that I was interested in. These are all, I want to say, for the price tag, 7,500 in the teens. Patrick Reed, that's kind of shocking that I guess is what he did in the Masters. Also, he's had some good showings at the Live. So I could see he's at 10%. Anything shocking? I told you I bet Taylor Montgomery, so he could be kind of unique. He's less than 1% owned. And, I mean, the irons is probably why a lot of people are off him. We know he's got an elite putter and short game. The driver can also get in trouble. But again, I think there's room to move it. So that's kind of could be an interesting play. Siwoo's at 12. Let's see if anybody stands out. My Cam Davis is less than 5%. That's going to be also, he's not in every lineup by any stretch, but I do have a bit of him. And, hopefully that works out for me and that I called that right, that he's going to feel comfortable on this course. But we'll see. No love for Hoagie anymore. I think everybody's waiting again until we get back to a specific course. Ryan Fox, also, I told you I bet him. He's at 5%. I like that. I really like how that guy plays. The more and more I've got to watch him. Eckroat with a lot of good finishes at 6%. My buddy Griot, who just won the Charles Schwab, is less than 4%, so I like that. Patrick Rogers, California-based, Stanford. He doesn't actually live in California, but did go to school there. Michael Kim makes me nervous, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm playing him, but he's just kind of burned me, of course, at the Byron Nelson, which I just is mind-blowing that he's done okay on tough tracks, but on some of the easiest, he did not do so well. Taylor Pendrith, that one's, I understand why he's 1%-ish. That's going a lot on the basis of what I've seen him do on bent greens. Adam Shanks had some nice finishes. Kurt Kitayama, so I like this one, less than 4%. We've seen him just excel in these, really good fields, won the API, very tough track, very dried out, high rough. So I like that. Thomas Peter's been solid. So I like also that play. He has been just making cuts. Also has quite a bit of distance off the tee. And I'm just going to look if anything stands out. My Lucas Hebert, this could go really bad, but also I've watched him. Right, he had a pretty good showing. I think it was at the PGA Championship at Southern Hills. I don't know where he ended up. I remember he made the cut, but kind of shocked me because I really felt like he had to be very accurate off tee. Now, Lucas Herbert has got really nice distance, but again, controlling it is a problem. But he's pretty elite around the greens and the putter, and what he won I think it was the Bahamas or the Bermuda, same thing, Bermuda, Bahamas, one of the island courses. Sammy Stevens also ended up with quite a bit of him in it. So you see it's at 6%, but I mean, the price tag, also you feel comfortable if he's kind of your last guy in. All right, I'm going to kind of fly through and just see if anything sticks out to me. Sam Bennett's at 4%. That's pretty high. Some people I think what I've noticed is that, from like my original build, people are looking for guys, not that, like more against the scoring upside. They're looking more for guys that hit fairways, pretty good with the irons. And I kind of transitioned a little bit, as I mentioned in my pick show, that I feel that the rough dirt on the fairway, you're going to have chances to still get it on the green, where it's not going to be purely just find it, gouge it out. Now, it could happen. You could end up in a bad spot, but so I kind of went with more upside for the Millie Maker than going with the guys that, I would pick just to get me around the course and maybe not score as well. So just seeing, who's this guy? Oh, Gordon Sargent. I talked a little bit about him, right? The guy that everybody was on for the Masters. Hits the ball a ton, but that's about it. That's all we've really seen out of him. I'm sure things will improve as he gets along. All right, I think that gets you a good understanding of the ownership and some ideas if you want to get unique, again, if you're playing in a Millie Maker, to, have some unique plays that won't be highly owned. Real quick, let's just look at win finders. So as I always mention, if you're doing Showdown is really where this comes in effect. Or if you want to build by, tee time flight advantages, you're going to want to pull up the closest spot that I could find to the course is Santa Monica, which I believe from where they're at, if there was no traffic, it's probably 10-15 minute drive to get down to the Santa Monica port there. And where I was going with, we need to go look at Thursday here, and I'm looking at super forecast. Let me update it. I mean, I doubt anything's changed, but just in case, let me do that for you. Okay, so what you'll see is in the morning time, it is pretty calm as it typically is. And actually, this has went down a little bit. So when I was looking at it, it was like 13, 16. So, I mean, just a little bit, but still, you know, the winds are going to get up in the teens. And that's what you've kind of been seeing there if you've been watching the Golf Channel, you know, in the afternoon. And then if we take a look here, though, and that's funny, this kind of changed a little bit too. So when I was looking at this literally just 20 minutes ago, this wasn't even, it was around 8 miles an hour was like the high. So there goes my theory, kind of a little about the wind. But if you remove just the wind, as it looks like what they're saying now is it's going to be pretty similar both days. Then again, the theory of that course is going to have more moisture on Thursday than it is Friday. Now, how big of a change is that? We'll see. But, you know, again, that's the only little thing I could even pull out. And then let me click out and just go look at the 4-day forecast. Funny enough, here it shows 9, and then here it's showing just 10. Yeah, I mean, it looks like nothing. It looks like perfect weather. Should have no issues, no delays, none of that. And if you really want to stretch it, there could be a slight advantage for the guys teeing off Thursday morning. Again, more on the moisture side, as the course is just going to keep drying out throughout the week. All right, I think that's it, and let's jump out and wrap this thing up. Okay, so with that said, that is going to be my shows for the U.S. Open. All the best of luck to us. I think we're all very excited. We are now, 18 hours away. And of course, coverage is, just a side note, it will not be on PGA Live. It's going to be on Peacock. I think it's starting at like 9:30 Eastern time. Then I think it moves maybe to, I didn't even look, but the Golf Channel, then I'm guessing like NBC or something like that. So just keep an eye on that. But I know for sure, have your Peacock, up to date if you like to watch like me from the morning tee times through. So that's the only thing else I could tell you. As always, guys, do me the honor, click that like button. Again, share somehow if you bump into somebody that is interested in betting or do anything on the golf side. Let them know I exist. And again, thanks so much. We did increase subscribe base, I don't know, by a couple hundred subscribers just through this U.S. Open. So that's awesome. Thank you, of course, if you're new to the channel. And last but not least, if you want, check me out on Twitter if you do that at DFS Golf Guru. Oh, and I forgot to state, congrats again for the guys and gals, possibly, that won the giveaway. I will reach out to you through YouTube comments and find out the best way to get your, either if you want to do PayPal or Venmo, I could do either or, and get that money over to you ASAP. All right, good luck, guys, and I will talk to you on Monday, where I don't know off the top of my head, actually, where these guys are playing. Oh, is it the Travelers? I don't know if that's the next one, but I know it's coming up here shortly. So, all right, guys, talk to you later. Take care.